They mocked her for driving alone into the desert to claim a house that time itself had abandoned. But when Sienna Donovan stepped onto that cracked earth and saw the mansion shimmering against the horizon, like a mirage made of ghosts, she felt it. Something was waiting for her. The will said it was hers, the last remnant of a great uncle she had never met. The world said it was worthless, but Sienna, she saw a strange kind of hope buried beneath the ruin. Wind howled through shattered windows, doors hung crooked like mouths frozen mid-scream, and the air carried the faint scent of cedar and dust. She should have been afraid, yet with every step the mansion seemed to whisper welcome back. No neighbors, no noise, just the heavy silence of a place that had been watching, waiting. And as Sienna turned the key in the rusted lock, something in the air shifted. Not the stillness of abandonment, but the hush before revelation. She had no idea that beyond that door waited not a home, but a secret powerful enough to rewrite history. And cost her everything she thought she knew. The air inside the mansion was thick, like it remembered things. Every footstep echoed across broken tile, and every creak of the staircase felt like the house was sighing awake. Dust coated everything. The grand piano, the chandeliers, even the books left open mid-page, as if someone had just been reading them before vanishing into thin air. It wasn't the decay of time. It was the kind of pause that follows panic. On the desk in the upstairs study, a journal lay open, its pages yellowed but still alive with ink. The handwriting was deliberate, tense. "They must never find it," it began. "It is not greed that guides me, but protection. What I've hidden here is more than art. It's truth." Sienna's pulse quickened. Truth? Hidden? Her great-uncle Edward had been a name whispered in scandal, a historian who disappeared after accusing museums of forgery and theft. The family called him mad, but now, reading his words by the light of a dying sunset, Sienna began to wonder, what if madness was just another word for knowing too much? And what if this mansion wasn't haunted by ghosts, but by the truth he died to protect? Behind the kitchen, Sienna found it, a hallway that didn't belong on any floor plan. Its narrow walls were carved with strange symbols, worn by time but deliberate, almost sacred. At the end, a locked cellar door waited, sealed by rust, time, and secrets. One of the old keys finally turned with a groan, and the scent of earth and oil rushed out like a held breath. Step by step she descended into darkness. Her flashlight flickered across stone walls, across symbols that felt ancient. Then her hand brushed a section of wall that sounded hollow. A click. The stone shifted. Dust swirled like ash as a small passage opened to reveal a chamber. And inside, her breath caught. 24 canvases, wrapped in cloth, stacked with surgical precision. She peeled one open and froze. A lost painting by Artemisia Gentileschi. Another by Caravaggio, unrecorded. Impossible. The vault wasn't a myth. It was a graveyard of stolen history. Each brushstroke screamed with stories that had been silenced. She sank to her knees, realizing this wasn't treasure. It was testimony, and the moment she found it, someone somewhere would come looking. The next morning the desert was too quiet. Then came the sound of tires crunching gravel. A black sedan, gleaming under the unforgiving sun, stopped at the mansion's gate. A man stepped out, impeccable suit, calm eyes, but something behind them colder than sand at night. "Miss Donovan," he called, "I represent a collector. We believe you've inherited something that doesn't belong to you." His tone wasn't threatening. It was worse, casually certain. Sienna didn't answer. He smiled faintly, placed a white card on the railing, and left. The only thing on it, a black raven and a phone number. That night she couldn't sleep. Wind howled outside, and sometime after midnight she heard the scrape of metal near the foundation. 2 shadows, one with blueprints, one with a crowbar. She grabbed her flashlight and ran to the cellar. The vault was open. One painting, the Caravaggio, had been sliced clean across the center. Not stolen, defaced, a warning. Whoever these people were, they didn't want the truth revealed. They wanted it erased. And Sienna finally understood. She hadn't inherited art. She'd inherited a war, fleeing through the desert dawn. Sienna reached Santa Fe, and the one person she could trust, Dr. Elise Whitaker, her old art history professor. When Elise examined the damaged painting under UV light, her voice trembled. "Sienna, this is Caravaggio. Not a copy. The real thing." She found Vatican archival markings, notes linking the works to art stolen during World War II, pieces thought lost forever. The vault wasn't just a secret, it was evidence of crimes buried for generations. "Someone's trying to destroy proof," Elise whispered, "because these works tell stories they don't want the world to remember." They began documenting everything, photos, scans, records. But when Sienna looked out the window that night, she saw it again. The same black SUV parked across the street. Same man, same stare. Unchanged, as if he hadn't aged in decades. Edward's words echoed in her mind. Time is not their enemy, it's their weapon. What if he wasn't speaking metaphorically? By the next morning, agents were at her door. Badges, questions, polite voices hiding sharp edges. These works were transported illegally, they said. Elise pushed back, brandishing documents and inheritance records. But when Sienna saw the same black SUV idling outside, realization struck. The agents weren't there for justice. They were there for silence. Sienna left that day with one goal: expose everything before she disappeared like her uncle. With the help of an underground organization called Voices Reclaimed, she partnered with journalist Noah Bellamy, a man who'd spent years uncovering art world corruption. Together, they built a plan, a public exhibition revealing every piece, every document, every hidden truth. "Once it's in the light," Noah said, "they can't kill it." For the first time, Sienna wasn't running. She was fighting. But in a world built on lies, shining the truth could be the most dangerous act of all. 3 weeks later, the warehouse in Brooklyn opened its doors. Thousands came. Historians, artists, survivors. They wept before paintings thought lost to war, erased by greed. In the center, under a single light, stood the slashed Caravaggio. A plaque read, "History bleeds truth," and truth, once revealed, refuses to be buried. The world changed that night. News exploded. Lawsuits followed. The man in the black suit vanished, but whispers of him appeared everywhere. From Berlin to Cairo, where museum archives suddenly shifted under new names. Sienna returned to the desert and transformed the mansion into the Donovan Archive, a sanctuary for forgotten stories. The house that once hid truth now protected it. But one letter arrived, her mother's. "I knew what Edward hid," it said. "I just didn't want you to inherit his fear." For the first time, Sienna understood. It was never about fear. It was about courage, the kind that outlives us. Years later, the archive stood alive with voices, children, veterans, descendants of erased artists, all gathered in rooms once filled with silence. Sienna walked barefoot through the halls, tracing the cracks that still whispered history. A little girl stopped before the scarred Caravaggio and asked softly, "Why would someone break something so beautiful?" Sienna smiled. "Because sometimes people fear the truth, but breaking it doesn't make it disappear." That night, under a sky bruised with starlight, she lit a single candle and whispered, "You were right, Edward. Truth doesn't fade. It waits." The flame flickered but did not die. What began as an inheritance had become a movement, a reminder that forgotten places can hold the loudest stories, and that one woman's courage can change how the world remembers. If you believe every truth deserves light, make sure you subscribe and stay with us. Because somewhere out there, another story is still waiting to be found.